What is up, you guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel and to a brand new video. So I know this is a little bit late. I did not decide to start this process until like a week and a half into the year, but better late than never. I have decided that I want to create my own planner slash bullet journal to keep track of my goals, and I've already found that it has helped a lot with me staying on track every single day and making sure I'm spending more time working towards my goals rather than laying in bed watching Netflix, watching YouTube. So I just went out to Hobby Lobby. I bought a couple black pens, some fine liner pens, and I bought some brush markers that have a fine tip on the other end as well. I didn't really know anything about brands. I just got this brand because it was 50% off that day at Hobby Lobby. Two other things I picked up was some craft tape. I've never seen this before. It's kind of like super sticky whiteout in a way, but it's tape, and then some washi tapes. So the first 20 minutes or so of me trying to start this journal was an absolute disaster. I tried 3 different times making the cover page, and as you can see, when we get around to the third time, Paisley crawls up onto my desk. Apparently she needed to vomit, which I found out. So I ran away, took care of the situation, and didn't realize that I left my pen sitting there. So the pen bled through about the first 12 pages of my brand new bullet journal. So I cut all those pages out, and then I started over on my 4th try. 4th time's the charm, apparently, in this situation. So you will see throughout this bullet journal that I kept everything pretty simple. I'm not very artistic. I like to do digital illustrations, but as far as being artsy on paper, that's not my expertise. I'm very happy with how I created it. I think it is very, simple and minimal. So this first spread is just a place for me to keep track of my goals and making sure I'm working towards them. Oftentimes I will, think of a goal in my head, and I don't know, I think it's a great goal. I think it would be awesome if I met it, and I never write it down. Or if I do write it down, I don't write like steps on how I'm going to make it towards that goal. So I figured the first spread of this book, it would just be nice to write down all my goals and separate them into categories. This first box we have is personal. I did end up filling all these boxes out after filming just because they're very personal. But an example of one that I put in the personal box, I don't know how many times I can say personal right now, is being more sustainable. If you haven't seen my last YouTube video, it's all about like health and fitness, sustainable items. And then I have an academic goals list because I'm a nerd and I have a bunch of goals when it comes to school. I have a financial goals list because I'm trying to save for dental school. The last box is social goals. We are in a pandemic and I'm an introvert, so this does not mean social in the way that it sounds. It is regarding my YouTube channel and my 2 Instagram accounts. I just started a second Instagram account if you haven't seen it. It's where I'm doing my artwork. I'm showing my artwork in my digital illustrations. That is called Paisley Portraits. So in that box, I am going to write down my stats at the beginning of the year, like follower-wise, view-wise, things like that, and write down my goals for the end of the year for each platform. Okay, moving on to the second spread of my bullet journal. I think this may be my favorite. I'll probably say that about all of them, but this is my books to read section. I've always wanted to read more books like I did when I was a kid, and I always say that I don't have time for it. But since making this bullet journal a few days ago and, really pushing myself to read every day, I have found out that I do have time for reading. So on the left side, I have my books to read category, and I'm just drawing a fun bookshelf. I am going to write down any books that I want to read or that people recommend to me and I look into and think that I would want to read them. And then once I do read them, I will highlight that specific book on the shelf so I can know that I read it, and that can help me keep track of how many books I'm reading. On this third shelf, I made bigger books because these are textbooks I'm reading this year. So we have the DAT boot camp. That's going to consist of a bunch of books, but I still wrote it down. Biochemistry, microbiology, physics 2. I also wrote down ACE CPT because I am currently in the process of becoming a personal trainer. I'm trying to get that done before this next semester starts. And then on the next page, I am doing a reading log. So I think this will help me keep track of my goal to read like 1 to 2 books per month. Because I'm a full-time student, that is like a realistic goal for me because most of the time I am having to read textbooks, but I am just going to be keeping track of what books I read, and then in the column next to it, I am writing down which month I read it. I've seen people put like date, but I've never read a book in a day, and I don't really want to keep track of like when I started it and when I finished it. So just whatever month I finished it in, I will write on this little chart. And I will also go into the left side and highlight it. And I think that will just be a super fun way to keep track of what I'm reading and making sure I'm doing things other than watching Netflix and YouTube and scrolling on Instagram and Pinterest and any other thing that's unproductive. The final spread before we get into the month of January was supposed to be a yearly overview, but I decided to just make it the first 6 months of the year because this process was very tedious, and I don't know, I thought maybe by the time July rolls around I might want to look at something different. And below the 6 months, I'm just making a box for important dates from January to June. So these will be big dates like when school is starting, when spring break is, when finals are. If I have anything else big, I will write it there. Now we are getting into the month of January. Yay! Here's another example of how this journal is pretty simplistic. There's not too much artistry going on. So I think this is my favorite part. I know I already said that, but let's just pretend I didn't. So this is my habit tracker for the month of January. It's been 4 days since I made this bullet journal, and the habit tracker has already helped me so much. I didn't start this bullet journal until like January 8th or so. I went ahead and filled in everything that I could from January 1st through the 8th. So the first column I have is working out. So basically when I work out, I will fill in the box next to the day that I did it in the column of working out. The next one I have is reading for fun. As I mentioned, all I read every day is textbooks, so this reading for fun column has to be something that I'm not going to be tested over. Then we have YouTube uploads and Instagram posts for my 2 different accounts, and I ended up adding 5,000 steps as another goal of mine. And the reason why I made the habit tracker is only in the month of January and not for the whole year is because progression is super important to me. So like, for example, January, my goal is 5,000 steps a day. If I happen to meet that every single day, or at least 80% of the days of January, then in February, I will write 6,000 steps as my goal. And if I don't meet 5,000 steps for the majority of the days, I'm going to look back on the month and try to figure out what was hindering me from doing that and see if I can change anything. Next to that, I'm just making an important dates list again for specifically the month of January. So I have one that is specific to school, so assignments and exams, what date they're on, and the percentage of my grade. And below that, I have meetings and appointments, date and location. Everything's going to be on Zoom, but if I do happen to have a meeting or an appointment that's in person, I will get to write it down. So to finish off this video, I wanted to just show you an overview of everything I did and read you this quote that I found by Mike Dooley. I'm not sure who he is, but I think it's a great quote for me to, I don't know, just kind of set the tone for this year. So it says, "Life is not about expecting, hoping, and wishing. It's about doing, being, and becoming." And I absolutely love that because I feel like we can oftentimes just sit back and expect things to happen or hope and wish that things can happen. But we never get around to doing things that will, get us to that goal. That is my bullet journal. I'm very happy about it. It has already kept me super accountable the last few days on getting all my tasks done each day and not laying in bed all day. So if you like this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Comment down below anything that you have in your bullet journal that I didn't put in mine, and maybe it will inspire me or other people to add it to theirs. Also, comment down below any books that you recommend for me to read so I can fill up my little books to read spread. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.